Oh my goodness, what is going on? You are watching and of course listening to Tags Live, aka Talk About Gay Sex, the live edition, where we're here every Wednesday night on the Crowdcast platform. I am your host, Steve V. This is episode 607, alongside partner in crime, wearing that Stonewall Inn sleeveless shirt, Kodi, Maurice, Doggette. How the hell you doing, Kodi?
Hello, darling. I'm doing wonderful. Feeling nice and gay in my Stonewall Inn shirt, darling.
Representing, absolutely.
And it's a crop top, too. So, I mean, it couldn't get any gayer than that, right?
I'm wearing, it's very subtle. It's very demure fall. I'm wearing a Sunset Boulevard, it says, embroidered. I'm going to talk about it in 2 seconds. But just a little bit later in the show, we are really excited for our special guest, Trevor and Kevin of the brand new podcast VTV from VACAYA, and we've got all our questions, and it's going to be really exciting to have them on the show. But I did mention that I am wearing the Sunset Boulevard t-shirt, and if I could just plug this show, not that it really needs it, but just saw Sunset Boulevard on Broadway with Nicole Scherzinger, and oh my God, can I just say it's brilliant. First of all, I am a huge Sunset Boulevard fan. I saw Glenn Close 3 times. I had to go 3 times to go see her because I was just obsessed. Oh my goodness. And that was the stage production, huge, Andrew Lloyd Webber. This is also the same show. And in fact, they keep the times the same, but there's no sets. It's all black and white. They wear like modern black and white. She's barefoot throughout the whole performance, and it is so chillingly from the moment she walks out there, like almost like a skeleton, to her body movements, to her incredible, I mean, it is the show to see. Sunset Boulevard on Broadway. Wow. She won the Olivier in the West End. People, do not snooze on Sunset Boulevard with Nicole Scherzinger right now. And it's in previews right now. So we say this because if you come to New York City and you're looking for things to do, this is something you want to definitely check out. So I'm going to probably have to go again. I just have to see it again.
Oh,
yeah. I mean, it's amazing. It's amazing. Yeah.
Her voice is great. Yeah. I can imagine. But I'm not really familiar with Sunset Boulevard story, so I can't wait to find out all
if you ever want to watch the movie with Gloria Swanson, excellent film about an aging actress. And by aging, we mean 45, which is hilarious.
Oh my gosh.
That is past her prime.
That hit me hard.
Yeah, I know. Excuse me, I know. And it really, it just goes on. She's a silent film actress, and yeah. Excuse me. Well, we got to get into hot topics, starting with Jennifer Lopez, excuse me, who came up for air recently to really talk about her divorce. And, she's been really silent ever since, Bennifer ended the second time around. And the reason I wanted to talk about it, because she just did Interview Magazine. She was interviewed by her friend, Nikki Glazer. And if you know that format, it's really cool. It's another celebrity interviews a celebrity, in this case, Nikki interviewing Jen. And she talked about kind of why it didn't work amid the divorce. And here's some of the things she said. You have to be complete. If you want something that's more complete, she told Interview, and she said, you have to be good on your own. I thought I learned that, but I didn't. And then this summer, I had to be like, I need to go off and be on my own. I want to prove to myself that I can do that. She never mentioned Ben Affleck's name, but she said this before, Kodi, where I think she's been married, 4 times? And
I thought it was more, but okay.
She's basically saying that, she needs to be good on her own. But I think she's one of those serial romance, love, has to have love in her life. Maybe this time she'll really, it'll sink in. I was single for 10 years before I met my boyfriend, 10 years. So I had a long time of being alone and time to work on myself. To her point, I don't think you're ever like perfect though. And
Yeah,
you have to
that's
work
what I
on
was gonna say.
compromise in relationships and learn all that. But I was definitely ready, and I had a long break before this new relationship, which is going great. But what do you think about what she said and about the idea that you need to really kind of take time for yourself before you get into the next relationship?
Yeah, I think it's beautiful and poignant, and I think it's such a good place for her to be in, especially now because I feel like she has been through so much in her relationship. So maybe this is her evolving and growing into who she's. I mean, she's already who she's meant to be. She's freaking Jennifer Lopez,
Right.
okay? But just growing along in her journey and becoming more at peace with herself. So I think that that's a great place to be. I totally agree with you about not being perfect because I think that that's a fallacy. And we as people are never going to be perfect. So if you're waiting to be perfect, please don't wait anymore because it's not going to happen. There's always going to be something that you're looking to improve in your relationship within yourself, and you're lovable just the way you are. So I say when you are ready and you find that you are comfortable with being with yourself, just go out there and see what's out there for you and see if anybody is vibing and checking for you out there.
Yeah, I agree. We're going to be talking a little bit later in another topic about being too picky and compromise. But I don't think she was saying that. I just think
Yeah.
she's never really been comfortable being just alone and just enjoying being you and what that looks like. I mean, and so I think hopefully she really takes her own advice and does that this time around before she enters the next relationship. So,
Yeah.
okay, moving on. Well, let's see. I was going to do that topic, but I don't know that I want to. Okay, there is, well, we've all heard of Oktoberfest, and apparently there is another thing called Locktober. Locktober. And it was started in the BDSM culture, essentially, where you're literally just putting a lock on your dick, basically, and it's kind of sub and dom. And you're basically, that's where it all started in the BDSM culture, where you're kind of taking that time, you're putting a chastity cage on your junk, and you're usually you would have a dom that would put it on you maybe for the day. It doesn't allow you to get hard. It which is kind of crazy because people have erections in the middle of the night, as we've learned with past guests. But you can't masturbate. You can't. It's just that time. It's a definitely dom sub fetish that can occur, and it was labeled within the community BDSM as Locktober, that time that you would do that. Well, for some bizarro reason, straight bro dudes have gotten a handle over it, and all over TikTok have been using the phrase all month long, which is really crazy. And they've been saying, bro, it's Locktober month. And they're all seen in the gym, pumping iron, taking that creatine shot, and saying it's the last day of it's September 31st. Tomorrow starts Locktober. And they mean it they've adopted it, but really to mean that they're going to be in the gym, focused, and rowing out with all that. If they really knew the meaning of what it really meant and where it came from, I mean, we always give, gays always, we were the first to enter, tell people about the dance floor, disco, dance culture. We're always the first in many ways. And this
music, fashion, everything.
Do you think that they knew what Locktober really means? And if they did, would they be for this?
Definitely, they didn't know. They're just they saw something cute and they wanted to adopt it, as it always seems to be happening recently. Like they're trying to take Twink, they're trying to take Locktober from us. I'm gonna get a shirt that says Timothée Chalamet is not a twink. He's not gay.
Thank you.
So I think that if they knew what it really was, it would be a whole new movement for them. I feel like we definitely need more straight men in chastity belts. I'm going to advocate for that as well. And to see them at the gym in those chastity belts, I think that would be even more awesome. So I really want them to meld the two together so that we can have a real Locktober and really lock in on our goals. Actually, being locked is something, not for me personally. I'm interested in it, but I'm interested in being on someone else and me having sex with somebody who's locked up in a chastity belt. What do you? Yeah, I'll let
what do
you
I
go.
think about it?
Yeah.
Vice magazine did a whole thing on it, and they polled a couple of people that are really into this. And after hearing what it really does, it constricts your dick, and you have to sit on the toilet when you're going to take a piss, because if not, one guy said that he was spraying pee all over the place when he stood at the urinal. It's more of a mental thing, I think, between a dom and a sub. That part I was intrigued by, but the idea that it doesn't allow your dick to actually get hard. And as we've learned recently from one of our guests, at night is when we hopefully have many erections. That's the sign of good health, is that you have erections throughout the night, and you want that blood. It's going to restrict that. That to me is going against my anatomy and my sexual anatomy. So absolutely not. I would never wear this at night. And I don't know. I think at one point I was interested in being locked up and all that kind of stuff. I'm not, maybe I want to lock somebody up. Maybe I don't, but I think that came and went in my repertoire, if you will. Okay. And yeah, it's not my thing right now. So
anyway. And what do you think about the straight guys Locktobering?
I think they're ridiculous, and if they could see themselves, it's just somebody needs to point out that, hello, it's about a chastity belt, and it's ridiculous. So I just think they look like dummies, but that's just me. I don't know.
I agree.
Yeah. What do you think? We want to hear from you as always. By the way, we're in front of a live virtual audience, so weigh in on some of these hot topics and let us know. Well, recently, gays were asking, is being picky about partners a waste of time? And it all started with one Redditor who was complaining about his very good-looking friend, Adonis-like friend, his words, and said after 6 years of a friendship, their friend is still desperately single despite his good looks. He is too fucking picky. Well, no one is good enough for him, and he always complains to me about how lonely he is. He is the problem here, and I'm so tired of it. Well, a lot of commenters were quick to sound off on how picky should one be about a partner. And a lot of people wrote that, finding Mr. Right is not that easy, and you have to make a lot of compromises. And we were just talking about this a few minutes ago about Jennifer Lopez. And, after the high has brought you down, after you've been together, maybe, I was going to say 7-year itch, but in gay culture, 7-month itch is probably a little bit more appropriate. But it got me thinking about, are we too picky? And I don't know that I've really been too picky. I think the only time I was really picky, I went on speed dating. I was telling you guys last night at drinks, I went on speed dating about 3 years ago. And out of it, I got a friend, but not a dating. I was a little bit picky, but I was going after a connection that you could get in 5 minutes, and then looks on what I thought somebody was attractive or not. But I haven't been dating that much. My boyfriend, I was charmed by him when I met him at the New York Eagle here. And I just wanted to know more and more. I don't think it was picky, though. I was just into him, and it worked. But are we too picky, do you think, some of us?
I mean, this article is written about me. Did you not hear my friend talking about how I'm an Adonis and I've been single for all this time?
Yeah, okay. Make it about you.
I know, right? That's my specialty. It's my go-to move. Yeah, I have to admit that I'm not that picky when it comes to looks and dating different types of people. I feel like I'm very adventurous when it comes to looks and things of that nature. I feel like what I am picky at is when it comes to people, when they hurt my feelings or when we have a disagreement, I tend to run. I'm a runner when it comes to, I don't like confrontation and all that kind of thing. I know, shocker, right?
Yeah, right. You definitely don't.
But I feel like that has kept me from a lot of relationships that could be valuable in my life. So I feel like I've learned some things about what red flags really are, because I would see those things as red flags, and that would cause me to move away from the relationship. So I feel like for me, I am learning that conflict and confrontation and really not always disagreeing, it's commonplace in a relationship. I think that I'm learning also that for two people to be in a relationship, you have to acknowledge both people. So I feel like that is something that I was really struggling with, and that was I was being picky with. So I think I'm less picky now because I realize all of those things they come with a relationship, basically.
Yeah, I mean, I think that when you're initially looking for somebody and you're deciding, okay, I'm going to go on dates, it should just be open season. You should just go on as many dates as you can because that's the nature of dating. And by the way, don't go on a, don't go out to dinner, go for a drink, go for a coffee, go for a walk in the park. And that way it's kind of a numbers game, I think, when you're just putting yourself out there. So I don't think that's the time to be picky. I think it's try and go on as many dates as you can and weed out the bad ones and then put them in maybe a different tier on, okay, these I would see on a second date, these definitely no, let me put them over here, and then get another round of dates. But one thing the article says is somebody agreed that people tend to expect too much of their potential partners. Our culture also promotes the expectation that our partner must satisfy every role for us. He must be gorgeously stunning, as well as our perfect sexual partner, best friend, therapist, workout buddy, life coach, chef, house cleaner, and everything. You must like the same TV shows, and on and on and on. And if I was just to relate to my own relationship, we have a lot of things in common. He's a hiker, and I am into hiking now, and we do that a lot. And we both like wine and going to wineries. We like the same kind of, I would say, movies and TV, but we definitely have a lot of separate things that are, we are totally different in many ways. And I was just telling our upcoming guest that he's super busy and I travel a lot. And I think that's the key to our success, is that when we do get together, and it's just that much more special. We're not like always together. And so I think it's kind of cool. What were you going to say?
Yeah. I love that. I think that I totally agree with you as far as, taking into account what schedules are and not really expecting your mate to be your everything, because no one person can be your all. And so I think going back to Jennifer Lopez.
I know. I was just going to say. We are full circle today.
We are. Look at us bringing it back. But yeah, so being a more complete person, being able to be comfortable with yourself and taking on all of your needs and wants and desires, and just really looking to your partner for support instead of them being your identity.
Yeah. I mean, that way, when you do come together, you have something to talk about and share, and it's interesting. And yeah, I mean, I think my boyfriend checks in with me. We do a FaceTime, but it's very short. But if there's something to say or about our day, but we're not on the phone for hours and hours. And I think that's what keeps it fresh too. And I like that.
Like in high school?
Like, no, definitely. I know. Remember those days? Well, my
do.
days. Oh yeah. I was on the phone, and this is before you had like another call could come in. I forget what that was called. And I had a rotary phone, and I would go to my parents' bedroom to take a call. And it was just, it was back in the day.
I'll be in mom's room.
Yeah, right. Exactly.
That's cute. Yeah.
Aww. Funny. Yes. Well, exactly. Well, weigh in on some of these hot topics. I think now would probably be a really good time to bring on our special guests. If you want to invite them to the stage,
of course,
we can get started with this. So exciting.
All right.
Hello. How are you guys? Hi. So on the left, we've got Trevor, and on the right, we've got Kevin, and they are the brand new hosts of a podcast that just dropped, I believe, this week, called VTV. It's from VACAYA, and I feel like I had a little mini part in it. But first off, how are you guys? And congratulations.
Thank you. You are our guardian angel. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, truly. It's been a fun, um, very intense journey to, get here, as you both are very aware of the complexities and the amount of work that goes into it. And I think, for us, we really wanted to make sure that if we were going to do it, we were going to do it right, because it's for VACAYA and we both care so much about VACAYA. Um,
And it's
Yeah.
just it's brought a workflow into what we normally do, which is create content for VACAYA for their marketing purposes. So we go in all these locations, and so it brings this other element to how we see and experience VACAYA, because we're looking for locals, we're looking for people on who's helping the LGBT community, members of our community, and we're just like finding them in the habitat in which they are, and kind of like trying to pick their brains about a lot of really fun topics.
Yeah, we should mention really
Cool.
quick. We mentioned VACAYA. VACAYA is, trips all year long, cruises. We're going to be on one upcoming in
Resorts.
Mexico at the resort, and it's a no-brainer, I think. I mean, to get the awareness out, to have a podcast. I mean, some of the things you're going to be doing on the show are going to be talking about upcoming trips and excursions. So I think it's just like I said, a no-brainer. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah, it's the podcast has been an idea of mine for almost 2 years now. Kevin's been with VACAYA since the inaugural cruise, working with them in 2019, and in 2021. Kevin recommended me to come on board and kind of help with socials and rebranding in that aspect, their social media presence. And I felt like, there's only so much you can really convey with static images or footage from the trips without really getting the opportunity to hear testimonials from, um, the guests, the people who work with VACAYA, the entertainment that we bring on. And to me, it felt like the best way to try to get what makes VACAYA so special to me out to as many people as possible to understand what that feeling is to hear from people who are on these trips with us or have helped VACAYA in some way.
And Steve's one of them.
Correct.
Thank
So
you.
guess
And so
what?
is Kodi.
You'll be a
I
guest
am.
while we're in Mexico for some of our interviews.
Would love it.
Oh, cool. That sounds like fun. So VACAYA is known for its inclusivity and sex progressiveness. How are you going to fold that into the podcast?
You want to take a swing at that?
Well, we just have a very gumbo spice level of different types of spiciness. It's like, oh, it's a little bit of like sexual progressiveness in terms of like how you interact in different spaces within the LGBT travel sphere. It's also about the spiciness of just like, how does my butt work? Like, we have a rectal rock star, his name is, it's a proctologist.
His name's Jonathan.
Jonathan.
So,
and I get to learn about the anatomy of sex. So that's a very fun part for me.
Yeah,
least.
I think, part of what to me makes VACAYA so special is that they really are trying to create travel experiences for all members of the community. It's not just gay men, which, you look at something like some other companies that might do that, and it's primarily that's the focus. And a large part of my goal through the rebranding and social media aspect is to make sure that what we're putting out there is what we want the company to be. And it's not built overnight, but I do think that this podcast is a way to highlight some of those other voices who might not necessarily get the same attention or have the same means to travel. And I think, on this first season, we've got about 13 episodes, and we filmed interviews with people during the summer tour, which was something that we did this past summer, as kind of like a marketing tour where we did 6 different locations,
different
Fire
prides
Island,
on the East Coast,
Key West, and that was kind of our way of being able to kind of interact with some of the people that have worked with VACAYA or helped VACAYA, or like we interviewed some small businesses that are owned by, you know, queer people. And as far as the spiciness, we've got a couple episodes that, you know, one we talk with Jonathan, who is a proctologist, and, you know, it's one of my favorite episodes or one of my favorite interviews, I guess I should say, because it really, you know, I went into it thinking, oh, we're going to really just talk about anal sex, gay men and anal sex. And what was so fascinating is learning so much about that part of the body and how it is underutilized in so many ways. And
the psychology.
It's just not something that only gay men can get enjoyment out of. So it turned into this really interesting, a lot more of an inclusive conversation that I think will hopefully be very interesting and beneficial to not just gay men.
And did you two know you can get enjoyment out of anal sex?
Oh,
we
my.
did know that, yeah. And
I'm so new to this. I didn't know.
We covered a lot on our show, but episode 2 of VTV talks with Jonathan Baker, and I can't wait to watch the whole interview of that. But you're right. I mean, I think what you're tapping into is, you know, VACAYA's travel, but we're lifestyle. And I know you guys are going to cover pop culture, and sexuality is a part of it. And so I think that's what we started as a exclusively sex podcast. And people always go, is that all you talk about? It's like, no, actually, we often talk about politics. Yeah, right. J-Lo. The other day we were talking about the presidential race as it related to our community. And so I think all those things impact our sexuality and our lifestyle, and that's a huge thing. But, you know, one thing I wanted to ask you both, like Kodi and myself, we've found this sweet spot that we have great chemistry, at least we think so, or people have told us, and it works for us. After watching the first 2 episodes of VTV, you guys really have great chemistry. What's it like working together? How do you just define that? Because I think that's what's going to keep people coming back.
Yeah. I mean, we have 10 years of knowing each other. I think
there you go.
Belt, you know, like, definitely helps. I think now there's a whole, you know, for the last, 4 years now, we've been working together, which is like, also, I think in a way helps kind of ramp up the ability to now bring it on camera. And one of our main boss, Patrick, who, you know, he's with us all the time. And so he observed and really takes in that chemistry a lot. And so I think he was like,
I love Patrick.
Yeah,
he's
the best.
He's like, you guys are bananas.
And we're like, yeah, we're actually a whole fruit basket. So yeah, I mean, it's interesting. It's a whole different thing, and I'm sure the two of you feel this way of watching yourself back and like listening to conversations that, you know, sometimes you kind of black out when you're in the middle of an interview or you're like on camera and you might say something that you didn't realize that you said, or
oh really? Like what?
Well, they'll just have to watch the season and find out, and I guess see if we keep it in the edit.
Great setup.
Perfect.
You know,
perfect.
I love a tease.
Yeah.
So tease us a little bit more. What can you tell us about some upcoming guests, some topics that are going to be going on? Tell us a little bit about what's going on over there.
We have I think our next episode is Ivan Quintanilla.
Oh yes,
and,
love Ivan.
Yes, he's so funny, and he happens just to be like a very well-traveled LGBT, like, gay writer. And so he writes about travel, about LGBT places, and that is the first thing that I look up when I go anywhere or am going somewhere. I truly am addicted to, like, where are the gay bars around here? Like, I want to experience that.
Yeah.
He needs that watering hole
microscope.
As well as other holes, you know?
It's like a microscope of like an ecosystem that is very familiar and exciting. So that's who we're talking to next as our next episode.
Yeah, in the second episode, what we kind of did was do like a 5 to 10 minute tease of the first 3 interviews. So Ivan is the first interview for episode 3, and then the next interview is with Marty Cummings, who is an incredible advocate and drag queen, and also our small ship cruise director. So we've been on many trips with Marty. So VACAYA itself has 3 different kinds of trips: big ships, resorts, and small ships. And we kind of have different people that are in those different kind of realms, and Marty is that small ship cruise director. So while we were in New York for the summer tour, it was very important that we met up with Marty and interviewed them for this first season. And it's a great fun interview. Marty is sass personified.
Love it.
Yeah. And then we also have people like Dougie, who owns a hair salon in Provincetown, and the Dougie is a fully developed cartoon character, and to hear this interview is going to be a piece of art that you don't want to miss.
Oh wow!
Wow, good tease as
Kevin
well.
I love the
while
tease.
he did the interview. So
Maybe we should call this the tease. Yeah. Well, you guys have mentioned
after me.
Yeah, you've mentioned your summer tour, and it sounded really great. I know that you went to Key West. Island House was one of the spots, and Island House, I've been there a few times, and they've got a really great. They do great parties, but then they've got like a dark room area that is very sex progressive. I know that on all of
they have a dark hot tub too. Like
yes, that's right. Great way to meet
like
people.
Encouraged seemingly in that area.
Seemingly, yes, exactly. I got it. One of the things that seemingly, one of the things that you guys do on VACAYA, which I think is so like brilliant, is the red light district. I'm going to actually be managing it on the upcoming Mexico resorts, which I'm super excited. How much will you be incorporating sex progressiveness, since we're a sex podcast, on your guys' show?
It's our first season. We have like 3 or 4 guests where that is like kind of explicitly the like topic, and I think that's kind of the goal. Is like Ivan is kind of hitting that LGBT travel, and we talk about the red light district and other things in that episode. It's always going to be a component of each episode, whether or not the focus, I'm sure it happens for you, where like, okay, well, this is much more of like what this guest kind of relates to, so this is what the focus is. But we kind of do like the format of the show is we kind of do like it's an in-person, in studio kind of day of intro and discussion, where we kind of talk about what we've been doing, as well as a closing.
It's beautiful banter.
Yes, great set, by the way. Great set.
Yeah.
Oh, well, why, thank you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, like it's, I think, especially Kevin has always been a little bit more sex
progressive.
Sure. And I'm advanced. Yeah.
And I love how you threw the question over to him to answer, Kevin. He's like, Trev, what do you? It was like, you're the one. That's funny.
But I will say, like what has been another very transformative aspect of VACAYA is, like, to be honest, like in 2019, I didn't know how much of a prude maybe I was when it came to sex, and it's really inspiring being around a bunch of people who feel liberated enough to feel comfortable being sexual in whatever capacity that is. And like we have the red light district. On some trips we have those clothing optional sun decks, or like there's like a clothing optional pool for the resort this trip.
So would you say, like, when people see you on these trips, they're like, this isn't a prude, this is a whore?
That's another t-shirt we need.
It depends on who you ask, I guess.
It's but to bounce off of what you're saying, Trevor, it's I've been on other, we won't name their names, cruise lines before, and while people are having sex and finding ways to do it, it's always very like secretive in this. Yeah. I like the idea of just creating a space for sex progressiveness to occur and normalize it, if you will, and nudity to just make it another part. You don't have to partake in it if you don't want to, but it's there. It's a designated space. People are talking about it. And it's, again, normalizing something that should be normalized, I think is really brilliant.
Yeah, there's so much shame when it comes to being queer in general, and then you add on top of that the shame that comes with sex that many of us are kind of instilled at a very young age. And I think it's not only a game changer to be in a space where you can travel and be open with your partner, or be open and have an idea that like, oh, these are all people that kind of identify in a similar way that I do. I don't have to do the dance that sometimes you have to do at a bar or when you're out and about of like, oh, is this person just flirting with me, or do they really like me? And then you add on top of that these spaces where it actually allows you to kind of further that connection or that development, if that's something that you choose, and it's not a thing of shame, I think has been so inspiring. And that's another component of why I felt like the podcast was a great move for VACAYA, because this is a component of what, and I think even on the Caribbean cruise, we did a whole, kind of thing about consent with you and Marie.
Yeah.
And that was almost like a precursor to kind of what we would be hoping to do on this podcast. And it's just exciting that like yours, the podcast will continue to develop once we've, figure out what those grooves are. And I feel like we've already, in this first season, we're now I think we've filmed about 6 episodes maybe, and like it's interesting to see how that
10.
Well, no, but I mean like that are like the intros and the closing and stuff are.
Oh.
But like, yeah, it's just yeah.
So
we have that many interviews, but yeah.
Love it. So I can be confident in saying that there are going to be a lot of personal stories on here. Hopefully some spicy stories as well.
Oh, yeah.
Why do you keep
like if this one is involved?
Jalapeno in the bunch.
Because you are. I mean, we were in the interview with Jonathan, the proctologist, the butt doctor.
Yes.
Not the butt. There is a
episode. Oh, right. Yeah.
I almost thought that Kevin was gonna just like pull down his pants and like have Jonathan take a look and show him what like the sphincter is and whatever. Like
that is good TV right there.
Sometimes I need that much help. Sometimes you really need to hold my hand.
Oh, we know. It's okay, baby. It's okay. You can do it. Just breathe, right? My God. We did learn a lot about relaxing. And also what's fun, what's fun is like we're constantly getting to learn. And I think what Patrick also sees in us is kind of this like desire to explore. And this also feels like a great way to. VACAYA brings in some really incredible people. We had Vanessa Williams on the last cruise, Alan Cumming, Ari Shapiro, like, some like really, really interesting people. And to me, this is such a great opportunity to also have discussions with those people that, like are once in a lifetime conversations that we could have and ask them about what their VACAYA experience is like, what that means to be on an LGBT travel vacation. So I know that that's like something that I'm very much looking forward to when we're in Mexico, because the first season is all interviews we did on the summer tour, and this will be the first batch of interviews we do on an actual trip.
Yeah, if I could promote my friend Will of Tantric Fitness, who's going to be teaching. He's been on our show several times, all about Tantra. I'm going to be attending his courses. I think I'm trying on some cock rings on the Wednesday. Yeah, so demoing them.
Never tried one of those on. That's going to be new.
I never tried one on.
Oh,
I have a collection back there, but yeah,
just out of the shot, right?
Yeah, exactly. Just out of the shot in this narrow confined.
Who needs wedding rings when you can have cock rings? They kind of are the gay wedding ring, I guess.
Exactly. Right? We're in a chastity belt right now in this narrow lane here. But Kodi.
Well, it's Locktober.
It's exactly.
Oh man, that's so.
But
funny.
yeah, Will is and that's another thing that's a great point to bring up. I think that when you think of sex progressiveness, oftentimes people go automatically to just like, oh, okay, so people are just like able to have sex wherever they want, and it's like, no, there's actually like programming that's built into these trips to also help you learn something that maybe you didn't even know was something that you might be interested in.
Well, also a system that is built to have everybody feel comfortable to do so.
Right.
Yes. Because consent is key.
And that's what Steve is going to be maintaining.
Yeah.
Facilitating.
I'm ready. I'm geared up. I'm excited. And I will be there.
Oh, we're gonna call you the facilitator from now on.
The facilitator? Is that what you
The
just said?
facilitator.
Oh yes, we could go there. Yeah, absolutely.
Let's do it. We're gonna change your name down there too. Okay. So since VACAYA is focused mainly on travel, are we going to get some nice travel trips, tips and tricks? And what are you guys' tips and trips for travel? Is it to pack a lot of Speedos on this trip?
I have a couple
Okay.
tiers. The tier of tips I have are what comes to mind are like electronic based.
Okay.
Of course.
And yeah, I'm a very nerdy, geeky things that you may find out if you continue that what we're saying is beautiful.
Okay.
So
I feel like people are gonna think that you're talking about vibrators when you talk about.
Oh, I definitely do.
Oh,
I know he's talking about vibrators.
Well, to charge all the vibrators you will bring on the VACAYA trips, you should think about battery packs for your phones. Also, the concept of some of these ships, if you decide to go on a cruise, are European plugs. So it's like kind of worth it to just have one of those converters in your.
And there's some newer versions of them that are better than ever. Like you can plug in like multiple ways and USB, and they're great.
Yeah, totally. And they're very light, very inconspicuous. So it's like even just having that and giving yourself. I'm a big outlet person. I like having outlets. So geeky I am. Oh wait, one more. And this is gonna sound insane. Okay, maybe this is insane, but like bringing an HDMI cable, cable that hooks up to your TV, so that you could potentially play your own music through their TV on the cruise ship or the hotel room,
and play your own movies,
your own like
your home movies.
Porn.
That's brilliant. I am packing one of those. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mine is, you can watch Tag's podcast.
Yes, absolutely.
On a loop.
Yeah. Mine is the cubes. I finally got into the cubes, those compression cubes, and I just did it on this trip and it worked brilliantly. Nothing was a mess. I had everything very organized, and I'm finally on the cube. I know I'm a little late to the game, but yes. We have to say, your show, talk about when it's going to be dropped. How can people get it? Let's give all people that great information.
Yeah, for this first season, a new episode will come out every week on Tuesdays, 8 a.m. Eastern time. And you can watch the full episodes on YouTube. And then the audio version is available on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeartRadio, and then others to come. But those were the three main ones that we wanted to make sure that we got the audio on. If you go to myVACAYA or just VACAYA.com, there's a whole VTV page now that kind of has like all of the links to do all of the different things. And yeah, the first two episodes are out. The first episode is kind of like more of just an idea of why we're doing the podcast. What is the podcast? It's just the two of us kind of introducing ourselves.
And it's a little montage moments of like either people that helped VACAYA come to what it is, or it's also some of the footage of the trips that we've been on, and like a little sneak peek into the world and the ecosystem that we've built and curated.
And for any listeners, I'm on the other side of our Instagram or our TikTok or, all of those socials. And so if you ever have a question, you can always be like, hey, Trevor, saw you on Tags. This looks interesting. Right now we've got...
how's your Locktober?
Yeah, I'll be like...
yeah, right.
Or I'll be like, well, how's yours?
More importantly,
we've
right.
We've got a couple of great trips that we're kind of talking about and focusing on. We just got back from New Orleans because in February, March of next year, our Caribbean cruise sails out of New Orleans, and it ends at Mardi Gras, and there's a whole Mardi Gras LGBT add-on. So if anyone's ever had like the curiosity to have a gay Mardi Gras experience, if Mardi Gras wasn't already crazy enough, we have that coming up, and an Australia cruise that's on our smaller ship. So yeah, there's like, what's kind of great too is like we're going to be talking about these trips and also getting information of where people want to go and kind of dropping
also what you can do to and where to feel safe in some of these cities, because it's not every instance of traveling that kind of where you can go to be your most authentic self. So it's important, I think, just if you're interested in that type of thing in general, to like tune in.
Really great. We just got somebody message us because we're live. What are your socials? How can we follow you both?
Well, how can they find you, Kevin?
My handle is Fat Rubber Ducky on Instagram.
Cute. Fat Rubber Ducky. I love it.
Love it.
I'm just Trevor Dow on everything. TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, all of that stuff. And then you can always find VACAYA at My VACAYA on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. We don't really use Twitter yet, but we might be developing our Twitter into something a little more spicy eventually.
Wow.
Mine is, absolutely.
I know very well.
Okay.
And then
wait, what do you guys mean?
And then YouTube, of course. Steve's Twitter. You got to get on
it. How demure you're being now.
You could get on it, or you could just get
on it. That's our time for today.
Podcast. Exactly. Such a pleasure, you guys. Congratulations on VTV. Is the new podcast out now. The first 2 episodes are out. We want to thank Trevor and Kevin. We'll list all of this on show notes and on our website and link back. So follow us. Thanks, guys. And I can't wait to see you guys in Mexico in just a few weeks.
Yes. And thank you so much for all of the help with the podcast. Because truly,
it was a pleasure. So much fun. Continued success.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks.
We'll see you in a couple of weeks. Absolutely.
Actually,
Yes. Bye, you guys. Bye, thank you.
Bye.
So fun, right? I love
so much fun. They are a little bit bananas, but I love it.
You got to be a little bananas to be hosts of a podcast. Right. I mean, that's just kind of the name of the game. I mean, we are a little bananas at times ourselves. So I don't argue with that. Yes, exactly. We share so much on the show, and so absolutely. Okay, let's get back into hot topics. And this one, there's a new book out right now. I'm trying to get the author, Ryan Sheldon, if he's listening, on to our show. But the brand new book is called Fuckboys Are Boring, a gay man's guide to dating for everyone. And like I said, it's by Ryan Sheldon. We want to get him on the show, but he talks a lot about ghosting. Why do people ghost? And I think that's always the elusive question that everybody's always wondering, like, why don't I hear back from them? Right, Kodi?
Yeah.
Here's some reasons why, and then I'm going to read a couple of, there's categories, Kodi, of ghosting, but here's reasons why people might ghost you. Fear of intimacy, insecurity, fear of telling the truth, acting the truth about themselves, embarrassment about their bad behavior, too immature, can't deal with the thought of hurting someone, which usually signals unresolved childhood trauma, fear of conflict, confrontation. Didn't you say that, Kodi? Lack of courage, fear of growing up.
Now. How we get back to me? No.
A sociopathic lack of basic empathy. Wow, these are some of the reasons why people ghost. But I think what was, to me, and why I want to read the book, is there's types of ghosting. There's just the basic ghosting where, somebody falls off the face of the planet, right? And you're just never hear from them. There's one called haunting, and that's essentially where you start seeing them, after disappearing for a significant amount of time, the haunter will stealth stalk your social media. I've experienced that before. Have you, Kodi?
Experienced or done? I don't know.
Okay. Here's the one
for me.
There's a few others. There's zombieing, orbiting, breadcrumbing. We won't go into all of them, but the one that really caught me was submarining, like a submarine, rather than the half-hearted, more subtle approach of a haunter, this fuckboy will suddenly pop back in your life like a submarine, resurfacing out of the water. It's always when you least expect it, and usually when you've just gotten over them. Submariner is eager to rekindle the flame, most likely because they've already tainted all the dating waters and nobody wants anything to do with them. They may use the passage of time to shield them from the accountability of their behavior in the past, hoping you will have forgotten about it. They'll act like nothing happened and try to lure you into another situation ship, only to slink back into the dark waters of the oblivion until next time. When that submarine pops up, it's best to push it right back down and keep moving. And this one really spoke to me because just as I was getting in the really, the marathon and the joy of my current relationship that I in, wouldn't you know it, the one guy that I knew from, we used to date in the 90s, and then I talked about it on the show, and then we came back and we had a stint a few years back, and I really was into him, and I was going back to San Francisco to see him every time I'd go visit my family. And then he ended up like meeting somebody else and getting married, got divorced, and then I saw him a little bit, and then he met somebody else, and it was that whole thing. And then I just like kind of wrote him off. Well, wouldn't you know it, he submarined back into and just called me out of the blue and said the most bizarro thing on a text. Not like, hey, how have you been? Long time. Not the normal thing to normally say if you haven't spoken to somebody in a long time, but was like, I think I realized the reason why you should have, what did he say? He was schooling me on what I should have done in the relationship, but said that in the initial text. And it was just, he was just exactly what this author is saying, submarining, coming out of the blue. But I didn't fall for it, Kodi. I like the author would be very happy with the way I handled it. I simply I just responded a little bit here and there, but did not fall for it at all. What do you say to any of what ghosting, what he's writing about? Or are you the one that's ghosting?
You know what? Ghosting has become so normalized that yes, I have been the one to ghost someone in the past, but only because the connection wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And ghosting has become like passe at this point. So I felt like that was the way to go about it. But after reading this, I realized that I should be a more mature and kinder person to them, because I think that's the way to go. I was dating somebody like after I broke up with my boyfriend, and after talking with you, the connection wasn't there. I wasn't ready to actually date him, and I ghosted him. But after talking to you and talking to a couple other people, I realized that was not the way to go. So I did text him, and don't you know that our communication didn't end there? I think that when you ghost somebody, it kind of is a final thing. And I think that when you actually keep those lines of communication open and you're honest about your feelings, that is the way to actually have a bridge to a deeper and more meaningful connection, whether it be friendship or whether it be a relationship.
Yeah, it's all about communication too. There's no need to ghost people. And I reached over for this book that I heard this interview, and it's a different book, but it's called Super Communicators. And I can't wait to start reading this, and how to unlock the secret language of connection. My sister and I both bought it and we're like devouring it, but how to be a super communicator. Doesn't this sound great, Kodi?
Yes, it sounds amazing.
I know. And it's all about communicating and not ghosting. I mean, we are communicators. We are not ghosts. And I know it's Halloween, but it's not time. Make it your costume, but don't ghost people. Just
don't make it your personality.
Yeah. And I'm going to use a term that's probably not politically correct, but man up and just talk to people. And exactly. So yeah, I just think that I love this book. We got to get him on the show, and let's try to get him. Let's give some advice. I think we have time for advice. Which one did you want to do? We only have a little bit of time.
First one. Yeah, we
I
should
think
probably do
so.
that.
Yeah, we've
Yeah.
got many of them, but we'll save it for another show. So somebody on Redditor wrote, "Kinkier with age" was the title. I've noticed recently that as I age, I've definitely become more kinky. I guess I now know what I like and now more willing to try new things. Does this happen to anyone else? And a lot of people, I love the first one. The guy said, "Husband and I frequently joke about how in our 40s, we are having a great sexual renaissance. I think that both husband and I have grown more and more comfortable and confident in our sexuality. We both know what we want, like, and are simultaneously willing to explore new things." I agree that with age comes a more sexplorative, if I can make up a word out of something, persona, because you're more confident, you care less about what people think. I just think it's natural as we age, our sexuality, if you're working on your sexuality throughout the years and you're growing and you're learning, and one part of it is your sexuality, that's obviously going to grow as well. And you're going to be much more refined and know what it is that you want, what makes you feel good, what you want to explore, and you're going to hopefully express that more. That's, I believe, the way we are meant to be. And I love that they pose that question, but I 100% agree that with age, you become kinkier is one word, more sexplorative, more sex progressive, sex positive, however you want to say it. I think that we just become more confident, hopefully, and that's the goal. And it's fun to be in that state and to really explore and indulge and be confident and tell your partner, whether it's a partner you just met or a partner that you've been with, what you want and what you want to do, and go for it. What do you say?
I totally agree with you. And just to provide a little bit more of a different viewpoint on it, I think that when you are exploring your sexuality and when you're dipping your toe in it when you're younger, you do one type of thing and you get used to that and you are completely comfortable with that. But as you grow and you learn things and you learn about what sex could be, that our natural curiosity as human beings, it makes us explore more as people. So as you get older and you have tried things and you have made sure that you are exploring your sexuality to its fullest, then you get automatically curious about something else that you saw in porn or that you read about in a book. So I think that as you grow older, it's just completely natural to get a little bit, quote unquote, kinkier, or like you said, to explore.
Yeah, and I just think that, we often write off people at, your prime is when you're in your 20s and your 30s and all that. I think your prime sexually, if you're taking care of yourself, is actually your prime for sex, can actually go well into your 50s, 60s, 70s, because that's when you're seasoned, you know what you like, and you're that much better in bed, and it's that much more confident, and it's exciting. And so we need to start shifting that narrative that actually, hey, the daddies know what they're talking about, and you have a lot to look forward to. I just think we're so timid when we're in our early years, and we keep it, not everybody, but a lot of us are. And so yeah, really good stuff. Okay, we got to do Thirst Trap. I put it in the link for those watching us live. It's produced by Straight Up Gay Porn, and this week they are asking the question: who out of these 17 gay porn stars took the best photo of the week? And it's our job on an audio podcast to vividly describe why they got the pick. I'll go first because I already voted, and I chose Gabriel Coimbra. Is that how you say it? I love the name.
Where is he? Top
He's
or
somewhere
bottom?
in the middle, and it's one of those upward shots where if I had the camera and I was shooting up, and it's making his thick thighs look delicious. His balls are right in your face. The dick is coming right out of his underwear. And I don't know, there's something about his face. I really like his face. He's got almost like an actor's face. There's a lot going on, dimension and everything with his face. He's got these great curls, and he's just looking down at you on the camera. He also has lips. I think it's a tattoo on his upper right pec that's kind of sexy, and I don't know, I'm here for it. He gets my vote. Who is yours and why?
He looks like somebody we know. Your pick. So
Now that I think about it, yeah.
I was like,
yeah. Uh-oh.
So
and that person
pick...
said same. He likes him too. That's kind of like
do.
living in a mirror.
I know, right?
For the person that said that. Yeah. Narcissist or something?
I didn't say it, you said it. My pick is Kinkier this week, and I just want to say, first of all,
wait, say his name. Wait, say it again. You got to say it.
Kinkier.
First name Con, last name Whore. I love that. Whore. I love that. That's brilliant.
It is. It totally is. And I just gotta say, I'm so happy that Straight Up Gay Porn is back with these thirst traps there. I love this segment. So Kinkier is sitting on a couch, and it's like one of those old corduroy. I know, right? One of those old corduroy couches. It is beige or tan or what have you. He's got a shirt off. He's got these cute little short shorts on. He's flexing for the camera, 2 arms up. His biceps are bulging and showing. And don't you know, his shorts are pulled to the side and this big fat cock is popping out of these shorts. It is amazing. He's looking fantastic. I went to his Twitter. He takes a mean dick. And that's why he's my vote.
I went there. He was my pick. Really good one. And you're right about that. Like 80s corduroy, thick corduroy couch going on. That's gold. It's the kind that like holds stains decently well. Maybe they didn't have Scotch Guard back in the day, so
are they stains or are they trophies?
They might be trophies, but it was at a time when Scotch Guard maybe wasn't around, and
yeah.
What's really interesting about this whole list is Matthew Kemp is on it. He's number 1, by the way, and he looks great as always, but he wasn't our pick, so yeah.
It is what it is. He'll probably win because he's super hot
and famous in this industry.
And famous.
Yeah, people like to vote for their faves, and I get it. Anyways, super fun. I'm glad it's back too. This has been so great. We want to thank our special guests, Kevin and Trevor of the brand new podcast, VTV. First 2 episodes are out. We'll list everywhere where you can get it. You can always follow my co-host, Kodi, at Mr. Maurice on Instagram. By the way, he's got an Indiegogo going because he's trying to raise funds for his EP to send the people over there.
Yes, I will. I'm putting it right in the chat right here. It's indiegogo.com/campaign/Kodi Maurice EP.
You can also get it on the website as well. Go to tagspodcast.com. And don't forget to grab a tier on our Patreon. And you can get a free tier and get extra special sexy content. I'm keeping that going behind the scenes, stuff that you'll only get for your eyes only. But if you choose to and you want to support us, grab a tier where you'll get even more like bonus content and commercial free. Go to patreon.com/tags podcast. Follow me on the gram. I am _Steve V. Or go to my Twitter X account at Tags Podcast, where you do get a preview of my Just for Fans or Only Fans. And in the meantime, continue having what, Kodi?
Hot gay
sex. Lovely.
Lovely.